Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to make your own ytong form cream, so let's get into it. Things you'll need are some ytong, also known as AAC, which stands for autoclaved aerated concrete, a ruler, a pencil, a saw, I'm just using a wood saw, some sandpaper, something flat to hold the sandpaper, a chisel or a screwdriver, I prefer a chisel, a drill, some drill bits, some vinyl tubing, some sponge, a pair of scissors, some acrylic, a hacksaw or a jigsaw to cut the acrylic, preferably a jigsaw, but a hacksaw is all I had, some silicone, I'm using aquarium safe silicone, and a silicone gun. First start out by marking how big your formicarium is going to be. I'm doing a relatively small one because it is for a new colony. After you've marked where you want it to be cut it with the saw. Now that it is cut, there's quite a few bumps and stuff all over it, so sand it down nice and flat so that the acrylic will fit on with no gaps. I first start out by drawing the hydration chambers and the entrances. Now I'm drawing the design of the nest. You then want to start carving out the nest, but that is a bit slow, so I prefer to just drill lots of holes and then carve those out. But it's not the best way to do it because sometimes bits break out, but it's a lot quicker. Now that I've carved the nest out, give it a quick another sand and draw the hydration chambers back if they've gone away from all that carving. And I'm now going to drill out the hydration chambers. I like to use a relatively small drill bit and then drill lots of holes about half a centimetre apart and then go back and drill in between those, then drill on the side and drill all the remaining bits to make the hydration chambers. I find that to be the easiest way. I'll now drill out the entrances. I'm using a relatively large drill bit for this, but this isn't quite large enough, so I will use one of these drill bits to make it larger. Make sure not to make it too large because you can't put that back, so I just gradually work my way up until the vinyl tubing fits into the holes. After that, you want to wash out your formicarium and make sure all the dust is gone, and then leave it out in the sun to dry. When you've done that, cut out some pieces of sponge to go in the hydration chambers. Mine were a little bit too wide, so I just cut them lengthwise, and then they were skinny enough to fit in. Now, trace out the piece of acrylic that you need to cut out. I'm now measuring it to make sure it's the right size. Then use a hacksaw to cut it. Unfortunately, I didn't know at this time that the blade on that was blunt, so I decided to try and use a saw, which was a fail, so do not do that. I definitely don't recommend it. Okay, so I went back to the hacksaw, and after replacing the blade, it worked much better. Now that you've cut out your piece of acrylic, you want to mark where the hydration holes need to be. Once you've figured out where they are, I'm going to use a relatively small drill bit to drill them, and just big enough to fit in the syringe to hydrate the nest. I'm now drilling the holes in. You can see the drill bit is quite small, right? And just be careful when you do this that you don't drill in the wrong spot, because you can only do it once. After that, check that they're in the right spot and cut out the piece of vinyl tubing you're going to use. We're now going to silicone in the piece of vinyl tubing. Make sure to use lots of silicone so it stays, and a tip is to spread the silicone over the vinyl tubing, because the vinyl tubing is slippery, and it's happened to me before where the silicone has come loose on the vinyl tubing and it's come out. Luckily there were no ants in the nest at that time though. You now want to silicone on the acrylic lid. I put one bead of silicone around the outside, and then I put one along the inside to make sure they can't get out, but also so they can't get to the hydration chambers and escape. After doing that, I stick the lid on and peel the paper off to make sure it's in the right spot. Then stick it back on and to protect it. I then put a little bit of silicone around the outside and smooth it off with a piece of leftover sponge to make sure it's sealed nice and well. When you finish this, you just want to leave it somewhere overnight with some weights on it to make sure it dries properly. Here is the finished product. You can see it looks quite nice, and the designs you can make with this really are endless. Here's another one that I made that's a lot bigger. So this is for when your ant colony grows bigger. So anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.